Hello, you amazing hackers. Today I'm going to give you guys 5 things you can invest in to become a better bug bounty hunter. Let's get right into it, shall we? We'll start off right away with number 5, of course, which is a virtual private server. Now, why do I recommend that you guys get a virtual private server? There are all kinds of reasons. First of all, let's start with the number 1 for the virtual private server. I would really recommend it because you can run scans all day and all night, and you don't have to worry about leaving your computer on at night. You don't have to worry about paying electricity bills. You don't have to worry about that huge loud fan that's running in the background because you're overloading your own processor. Just rent a virtual private server somewhere on the cloud and do your scans from there. Now, there are a few solutions for that. You can go to DigitalOcean, of course. They have some free credit available if you sign up right now with a credit card. I think you get $100 free. You can also go to Linode. I prefer Linode myself. I have a virtual private server there because for me it's cheaper. You don't have to have a credit card. You can actually use a prepaid credit card and don't run any risks. So that's why I would recommend Linode. And I would also recommend a virtual private server. For example, if you need to have a web server serving content, you don't want to do that on your home computer unless you know what you're doing, because you might be behind a firewall and you have to configure that firewall properly. You'll have to put your computer in a demilitarized zone, all that kind of stuff. So that's not for the beginners. That's why I always recommend, if you get into bug bounty hunting, get a virtual private server. 2 ways to do that. You can either get a free one. I think there is a Medium article available. If I find it, I'll link it to you guys in the description. If not, if anybody has it, you can always put it in the comments, of course. I would be very grateful for that. But you can also just get a cheap one. The one I rent on Linode is, I think, €2 a month, which is a nano size node, which gives me 512 megabytes of RAM. 1 core of, I think, 2 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz or something like that. It's nothing amazing, but it more than does the job. I can hack on a Raspberry Pi if I want, so it really doesn't matter as long as you have good logical thinking skills. Now let's get on to number 4, shall we? I would recommend that you build some kind of personal brand. Now, it doesn't have to be as extreme as I'm doing with the rat, but I would at least recommend that you get a LinkedIn page. That's really important because you want to get probably into some private bug bounty programs. You want to get into some bug bounty platforms that work on an invite-only basis. You probably want to get a job out of this. You want to prove to your employer, that you're worthy of the job. So I would really recommend that you at least get a LinkedIn where you can gather all your experiences and that you update it regularly. That's the investment. You're going to have to put a lot of time into this. This is not per se about money, but it's about more about time. Second thing of all, I would recommend that you start a blog, at least something where you document your progress. Now, be very mindful, guys. You're all amazing hackers, so you know that you cannot just put detailed descriptions of vulnerabilities on there. You first of all have to ask permission, but you can give a generalized feeling of what you're doing, just like I'm doing here. You guys don't know the exact bugs that I report, but you know that I love IDOR and cross-site scripting and that kind of stuff. So do something like that. It doesn't have to be how do I say this, that dramatic, So next of all, I would also recommend that you get a Twitter account. Now, Twitter accounts are really important to me because it allows you to quickly reach out to people who are in a bigger position. They have a lot more time to quickly answer a tweet than to answer a full mail from somebody, because it takes time to answer those mails, When I go through my mailbox from work, I spend a good few hours doing it, so it's not something that's as easy. While if I go on Twitter, I can easily send a few characters and I'm done. So I would really recommend that you invest in those 3 things. So that would be LinkedIn, a personal blog, and a Twitter account. Now, up next, something that I'm doing wrong myself right now, I would really recommend that you guys get a quality chair. Why do I say this? By the way, when I do bug bounty hunting, I do have a quality desk chair, It's not the most expensive thing, but it's pretty expensive because I want my back to be okay. Sorry, guys. I want my muscles to be okay. And I'm somebody who always suffers from chronic pain. So you guys probably didn't know that about me. I have chronic pain issues, and when I sit in a rear position like I'm doing now for too long, of course it's going to hurt a lot more. So that's why you guys are going to have to do this for a long time. And I know that if you're bug bounty hunting, sometimes you can get into the zone. You guys probably all know that feeling. You're going hard and you lose track of everything, even your seating positions, and then after a few hours you get up and you feel, oh my god, have I been sitting this way for those many hours? That's not good. Well, believe me guys, it's really worth it if you invest in yourself that way. So it might be a little bit more expensive, it might be $100, something like that, but you should get a quality chair to sit on. Also a quality desk, of course. Just make sure that it's on proper height, that your monitor is on a proper height. Ergonomics are important. Sorry, I'm complaining a little bit about this and I made it sound a little bit naggy, but believe me, you don't want to waste your good years like me having a lot of pain for no apparent reason. By the way, my pain is not from having a wrong seating position, it's a chronic illness, but that's a topic for a different video. Now let's get right on to number 2, shall we? Which for me is Burp Pro. Now, one good reason I have for that is because in the burp free version you cannot save, and I hate not being able to save. That's one of the biggest advantages for me from Burp Pro, is being able to save. I hardly use the automated scanners. Of course, the extension is also a huge advantage for me. I can use authorize and all that kind of stuff. And also the intruder is a lot faster and I get some more pro options. But the saving is for me by far the biggest part. I hate having to set up my project every single time. I just want to click it open. I'm all about efficiency. So I want to just click it open from a list, like I saved my target last time, so I can just reopen the last file that I created and go from there. Also, of course, the pro features are very, very, very useful, especially that intruder goes so fast. That's for me is one of the biggest advantages. And like I said, the extender, I do a few reviews of extensions on my channel, so if you guys are more interested in that, let me know in the comments below. I'll make a lot more of those as well. And then, of course, also the pro options. I'm not exactly familiar which options are pro only, but there are a couple of useful ones. So that brings us on to number 1, and this one is super, super important for me. If your program that you're testing has a paid feature, so let's say a premium feature, let's say you're testing a game like old school Runescape. Old school Runescape has membership and you have free to play. Let's say you're a bug bounty hunter on old school RuneScape. You want to test free to play, of course, but you also want to test membership. Also, even though it's like 10 euros a month, it's highly worth it because you're going to make an investment, which is a barrier to entry. And whenever you encounter a barrier to entry, a lot of hackers are going to say, no, I'm going to turn back here. So you've lost a big portion of your hackers at that barrier to entry already, which is a paywall. If you encounter a paywall on your target, pay for it. Invest in it, and I'll promise you'll find a whole lot more bugs than you used to on the free-to-play versions or on the non-paywalled versions. It's just a world of new content that you can explore that other hackers can explore. I'll give you guys an example. Hardware.info, no, sorry, not hardware.info, tweakers.net. They're an open program on integrity, a public program. They have all of these special features like uploading your image gallery, so that's a file upload that you can test, uploading custom images, creating all of these different features that you have to have a lot of karma for on the website. So you need to be a user for a long time. And if you have an account that has a lot of karma and that can access these features, of course you're going to have a lot of more of an advantage than somebody who's just new. And a lot of people are going to enter just being new to the website, because what you have to understand with bug bounty hunting is that you're going to have a lot of bug bounty hunters from all over the world coming to your target, and they're not going to properly understand the functionality, because you're going to have, for example, people from Belgium going to sites from, let's say, France. We can understand most of that, especially the people who live in the French-speaking part of Belgium. they can understand that properly, but let's say a German website, that becomes a little bit more hard to understand. So if we encounter that, I usually have to use Google Translate, but it can't translate everything. Let's say you have, for example, a website that works based on images. Google Translate cannot read those images and cannot translate that. So I don't know where I was going with that story, but paid features, if your target has them, just buy them and test them, especially if they're not that expensive. I would highly recommend it. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry if it was a little bit rambly, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everybody.